So from a design point of view, what we've got to do here is just sort of minimize the impact any of this has on users. And there are very simple ways of doing it and more complicated ways of doing it. But it comes down to not forgetting what somebody was doing when they lost connectivity. It's a big problem in an enterprise point of context, where, for example, you've got field technicians who need to keep on track with all the information they need to enter about a job they're doing, for example, in a telecommunications context, what happens when they lose connectivity, but also a very day-to-day thing, what happens when you're taking notes about something, or you lose connectivity with your mapping function. And don't forget things like my credit card details, simple stuff like that. Again, Spotify have solved this quite neatly by putting in a reminder in your playlist. Your credit card's expired. Very elegant way of doing it. So what it comes down to, again, there's a few sort of recommendations from our point of view, from a Fjord point of view. I guess, first of all, it's working out what your gaps really are. I mean, a lot of companies are very organizationally siloed in a way that it's not actually possible to spot from a company point of view where they are. It may be blindingly obvious from a customer point of view, but not so much the way people are organized. So who's minding those gaps within your organization? And if there isn't anybody, think about who you might appoint to find out what they are. How might you listen better to what customers are really saying about where stuff's falling over to help you better design stuff for the future? The second thing is, what are all the sort of crazy edge cases that when you've launched a service, people will tell you just by using it? So what I mean by that is, how do we start to think about that right from the off? Think about the strange stuff that people might just do that is going to break your service. People do that if they're early adopters because they experiment. They will try stuff and try and break it. That's what you find a lot of good data that way. But equally, laggards, people who are coming to this way, way, way down the tracks, they may have very, very entrenched ways of doing things. And when they are let loose on your service, all sorts of things happen because they have a completely different mental model of how this thing should work. So these things, if you bake it into how you think about your services from the very beginning, it's really going to help. And thirdly, think about how your organization needs to adapt to do this. A lot of companies we're working with now are looking at how you manage customer journeys sort of horizontally through organizations rather than thinking about how the traditional stuff is done. A good way to go.